All right, welcome everyone to another 5 a.m. After Hours. I am the host, Domonique Holliday, and we have a special guest here tonight, Mr. Big Mario Haskett Jr. Man, welcome. It's an honor to have you here tonight.
Pleasure. Appreciate it. Appreciate y'all having me.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump in. We talked to one of your kids. I know you have multiple kids, but we talked to one. He says he's Big Mario now. He said you're little Mario.
Yeah, he is. I get to him now. Hey man, I tell a lot of people now it's been a true blessing to be able to reap some of those fruits of labor, and he's leading now. It's okay. I passed the torch. I'm good. I'm good. I work for him, and it is truly an honor because now I don't have to do as much thinking, as much doing, much running, and with all this technology, everything is easy. I ain't do nothing today. They put everything together and told me what I was doing. I was like, good, I ain't had to do nothing. So yes, it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It is a blessing to have kids, and then they take over for you, and that's what we're trying to do. We're building a legacy. So, right. For everyone that doesn't know who you are, let's give a introduction to you about you to the crowd. Like, who is Mario Haskett Jr.?
Well, I was born in Surrey County, moved to Newport News, and was a very great two-sport athlete, and had a passion for really, giving back to the community. So I graduated from St. Paul's in 1997, got my undergrad degree. When my firstborn was born, I chose to, be the man that I needed to be to make sure he have a better life than I did. I was raised by all women. I had an uncle that also raised me, but for the most part, my aunts and my grandma did all of the work, along with my mom. So when little Mario was born, I put everything down, moved straight to Richmond, got an apartment, and just, been that father ever since, So things I love to do, this is something I've been doing ever since I've been in college. A lot of people don't know, but I built my own college basketball team. So I've been doing it ever since I was in college. When I left high school, it was no turning back. I said, I'm gonna be somebody, and where I come from, they said, you're gonna be dead or locked up before you turn 21. A lot of people be like, nah, they told me in front of the class, in front of everybody, boy, you's a hard-headed somebody. So, and I just had a passion. A lot of people, I was most misunderstood. I'm just passionate and confident. I'm not cocky. I'm just confident.
And I know when I was coming up in school, I'm not as old as you guys are, but when I was coming up in school, they used to come, I don't know if it was Dare or another teacher used to come in and have like this big meeting and say 1 out of 10 students won't live to see you graduate.
Right.
I don't know if they still do that today, but it was like, dang, now that I think about it, a lot of my classmates passed away before we hit 12th grade. And then after we became adults, even more of them passed away. So I think the work that you do is very important, like giving back and making sure that the community is raising up well, because we come from an underprivileged, underserved community, myself and Donnie as well. So it's needed everywhere, not just in Richmond, Virginia, or just Virginia. And I think that you also are expanding as well, not just in Virginia, but other places. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. 757-804, anywhere in Virginia, I get a phone call, I'm there. I don't care. I've been doing this ever since, I graduated college. I've been putting kids in college when I was in college. So if I get a phone call, it's done. I tell people all the time, just let me make that connection and, I'll make it shake. So it's something I've been doing all my life. A lot of people, don't know a lot of my history, but I was doing this when I was in college. It wasn't like You know, if I went home and seen a kid and he had that talent, I was like, iron sharpen iron, let's go. You're going to school. You ain't gonna be out here, you know, selling drugs. You know, you got an opportunity. You know, use that basketball to get a degree. I probably got more kids in college probably than any one person other than Boo and Ty in Virginia. You know, because I've been doing it for so long, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to help somebody because I would have wanted the same opportunity. You know, so just making sure that we continue to build our community. And man, I'm I'm the most unselfish person you're gonna find. You need $1 and I got 2, I'm getting you 1. Period. You know, I live on faith. You know, everybody always asks me, like, man, how do you do it every day? Hey man, I trust in God. You know, a lot of people say it, but you know, you worry too much. What you worrying about? You know, God already got everything done for you. You just got to do what you need to do, you know, and I can put my head down at night and go to sleep. A lot of people worry. I don't worry. Be like, you owe $100,000, and it's gonna get paid. You know, I'm gonna put the work in, and God gonna do the rest. You know, that's just it. You know,
that's amazing. So I want you to tell the people exactly what you do, from your business to your community activism. So let's give them a walkthrough exactly how you support the community.
Basically what I do, man, is you know, I find those resources, those real resources. And when it comes to housing, when it comes to food, when it comes to the mental health, when it comes to anything, you know, transportation, you know, I give people cars. I help people get cars. I do it all. You know, all the necessities that you would need to get back on your feet. And I tell people all the time, when you helping somebody, it takes 6 months to a year for them to establish a solid foundation. I just think, you know, our government don't understand the real facts on how to help these people. You know, they putting a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound, you know, 30 days, you know, 60 days. What? Man, it ain't gonna happen. You know, most of our people in our community, when they fall down, they need 6 months to a year to get back stable. So for the most part, I will probably take about 10 to 15 families and get them stable. And I'm gonna go outside the box, and I don't care who know it, because I tell them all the time, you know, you're not going in those households and finding out what's really going on. You know, these people really want it, but if you don't give them the tools they need to succeed, they're gonna go back to doing drugs. They're gonna go back to stealing. They're gonna go back to gang banging. It's a natural habit, you know. So you gotta be there through the thick and thin. Do it cost? Oh yeah, it costs. You know, but seeing a family in a year or two that has made that tremendous jump, man, you know, that's the reward that I like. It ain't about no money. I tell people all the time, I don't worry about money no more, you know, because when you're gone, you ain't taking it with you. That's it. You ain't taking it with you. And now my biggest thing now is, you know, with a lot of these low income families, we have to take our time and really try to give them the tools they need to be successful. So most of the time it's housing, job, transportation. Sometimes you got to switch it up. Got to be transportation first. Some of them can't get to work. How you gonna give them a job and they can't get to work? You know, some of them, you know, you might have to get them the job, get on the bus, and then get transportation. So, you know, for the most part, man, that's just what I've been doing for the last 20 years. So, you know, I really understand how to do it now. You know, a lot of people, they do it, they in the game, they out the game. 20 plus years. And I tell them all the time, I done figured it out, you know. But now I'm going on the other side to legislators and letting them know, if y'all really want to help these families, bring the people in the room that really understand the dynamics of what really need to be done, you know. And that's what we lack in our community, you know. I can go deeper into it, but this ain't the show to go into it, because I probably get 1 million phone calls after I tell you how deep it is. But, you know, and we could really change our communities, you know. It just takes legislation. going inside, us coming together and going in and really telling them what it's going to take to really help our community. A lot of people think they know, but they really don't have no clue, because we wasting money, wasting a lot of taxpayers' money, but we'll get on that on another show. But go ahead.
Yeah. Donnie or Adrian, you have anything? I have a lot of questions, but I want you guys to be able to chime in whatever you feel like. I can talk about it or talk to Mario all day.
Man, I definitely want to chime in. I think I was able to see Big Mario, man, like working with kids. I've been working with kids, for like 25 years, and I came across him in the courtroom. Came across him, doing work in the community, and it's like what he just said is like, to me, it was like, man, he was there for them kids in a way where like they needed a haircut. He was like, the court was looking at like, how are we gonna help these kids, and he was in the courtroom sitting down, said, he didn't do it for the show, like I'm here. And that's really what I feel, that's the heart of what we need. We need people that care so much that they're selfless. Like when you said that, I was thinking that same thing, like, that you're a selfless person. And when we can think about other people outside of us, man, that's when we really can help somebody. It's hard to help somebody when you're always thinking about yourself.
Yeah, facts.
No, that's facts. I did just want to say, salute to you for your dedication to something that's bigger than you. Now, the question I have for you is, because to your point, you have so many people who come and go, right? Yeah, they're going to start to help 2-3 years, they see everything that comes with it, they fall off. How have you been able to do it for 20 years? Like, what were some barriers that you faced, but you were able to kind of push through it to continue with your purpose?
Man, great question. Well, for the most part, a lot of my families are able to get in touch with us anytime. That's one thing that I've been doing over the years. Been able to allow people to reach out and touch me whenever. And some of the challenges that you face is normal challenges that sometimes people don't talk about, but I go through the same challenges everybody else go through. I might not pay my mortgage this month, to help somebody else out because I'm okay. I feel like, as long as I put the work in, it's gonna happen. Like I say, I'm Henrico, Chesterfield, and Richmond. I'm in the courtroom, social services. I just went in the house, 2 days ago, retrieved a gun from a kid and turned it in. The mom was scared, and I told the boy, I got to get that. And I didn't know what to do with it, but me and a couple of my resources, we figured it out and we turned it in. So, just having the passion to really want to help these kids, because I was one of those kids, man. Growing up in Newport News, man, I was a knucklehead, man. I didn't listen. I was young. I didn't have a father figure. My father wasn't around. My brother, basically, my older brother, which was 1 year older than me, he raised me. My mom had to work 2 jobs. And me and my brother, in high school, we basically stayed in an apartment by ourselves, and he basically raised me. So he made a sacrifice to make sure that, man, you got a chance. You going to college. You know what I'm saying? And it worked out. So my passion has always been there for these kids, because, man, I tell you, it's some of these stories and situations are crazy. Like, we gotta do better, especially being fathers. I'm one of them people that say, don't tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you can do. This your child. I see a lot of men running from child support. I see a lot of men not wanting to be there for their kids. I see it all, and especially in the Black community. I tell them all the time, man, one thing about it is you're going to pay for that. you're gonna pay for it. That kid ain't got to do nothing but do what they supposed to do. But you're gonna pay for it as a parent, especially if you're not doing what you're supposed to do for them kids. You know what I'm saying? And like I tell them all the time, you ain't gotta worry about it. God watching you now. God is watching you. You know, so you gotta do it, you know.
And it sounds like you've been through a lot of transitions from fatherhood to being a mentor, entrepreneur, community leader. So my question is, what had shaped you more? Was it the fatherhood, becoming a father? Was it being a mentor? Was it being a community activist? Like, what shaped you and impacted you more to be able to produce more?
Being a father, 100%. You know, as a man, you know, when I was coming up, the first thing I said was, I'm not leaving my kids for no man to raise, period. You know, I don't care if I'm there, if I'm not there. I'm going to be there. You know, it's not going to be about the money. It's not going to be about the woman. You know, it's going to be about raising them kids. I saw the effect that I didn't have, you know, from my father being there in those times when I really needed him as a man, you know, and that's one thing I said I wouldn't do for my kids. You know, my daughter, you know, she's about to graduate from college in December. I got a 10-year-old. Everybody know I adopted Pinky. That's my son. So, you know, they know about little Mario, but the other ones, trust me, it's 100% being a father. And then it trickles down because seeing the growth of a child later, man, it's a true blessing, you know. And that's, y'all know Pinky, little Mario, my daughter, you know. Oh man, you know, man, my job is easy being a father, man. My job is easy because I put the work in early. You know, my job is easy, man. I don't even have a problem when it comes to the kids. You know, and people be like, man, no, my kids will call me before if they even want to do something that they think crazy, they gonna call me. You know, that's the type of parent you want to be. You know, and I tell people all the time, I'm not buddy with my kids. When it comes to parenting, I'm parenting. You know, and they'll tell you, oh, tough love, oh, he'll give it to you. You know, he'll give it to you. So being a, you know, and I tell people, it ain't no blueprint. It's just showing that love and being there and raising them how you would want to be raised, you know. So that's the easiest job, bro. For me, anyway.
It's funny that you say that because we had a conversation on a previous episode about raising boys, right? So my approach with raising boys is I don't give them too many choices. I'm more of like, because I have a military background, so I'm like, right, do it this way. I do give you some options, but not a lot of options because I feel like too many options it'll start confusing the child. So I guide them, and I believe in true discipline and consistency. So you get up early in the morning, you do what I tell you to do, and we'll have a good day. But if you don't do that, then I have to discipline you. And I don't mean beating you like we did. Like we got beaten back. But in the Navy, they say that they're going to beat you. And what that is physical exercises that you're going to hate and you're going to remember it. Put it in your head. And now when you go to do that again, you're like, oh, no, I don't want to. It's like a sport, like running a whole bunch of suicides or doing a whole bunch of push-ups, running miles until your feet hurt or you can't feel your legs. Stuff like that. But one of our friends were like, he's more of I want to say a friend to his child, but he didn't have a father either. Right. So I guess the question I'm trying to ask you is, what's the better approach in your perspective? Like, should you be like hard on your kids or should you be soft on them and let them figure out things on their own?
This is my take and my perspective. And I tell a lot of people, I'm not in nobody's household, so I can't go behind the scenes and tell you how to run your child. You know, it's not a blueprint to being a parent. But one thing I will tell parents is be a parent, be stern, do it your way, but stay on that course. the way you start. Don't switch it up in the fourth quarter. You know, be a parent. You know, and I don't even think I had to beat every one of my kids. And when you look at me, they be like, man, you look like a real gorilla. You know, From the break, I put the fear of God in them, and I told them, this is how it's gonna be. And when you do that with a child and you stand 10 toes down, whether it's good or bad, trust me, it's gonna turn out good for you. But can't nobody tell nobody how to go in somebody's house and run their household because you're not in that house all day. So I can only tell you from you being who you are, that may work for you. You know, me being who I am, it worked for me. You know, so Donnie might have a different way and Adrian might have a different way, but stay 10 toes down to it. And the number one thing I tell people all the time, we get away from parenting is love. Love. Your kid know when you really love them. All right. Not you go to the club and they need some food to eat tomorrow. Not they go buy a pair of Jordans, but you got holes in your shoes. You know, not they go get their nails done, but you can't even pay for a PTA or field trip. You know, you got to show it. You know, you can talk all day long, but you still got to show it. You know, and in our community, I tell people all the time, pay now, pay later. Pay now or pay later. Whether it's a lawyer, whether it's all that, you know, foolishness, drugs and all that, pay now or pay later. You know, and make that sacrifice for your child. A lot of people say, man, you crazy as a mother. You paid almost $400,000 for that boy to go to Harvard. Yep, cash, pay now or pay later. So the example that I set for all my kids was y'all first. You know, if the opportunity presents itself, I'm taking care of y'all first. Don't worry about me. You ever see me in a band or fight, call 911, get animal control, I'm going to hurt them. So pay now or pay later. And I tell a lot of parents, like, man, I'm not paying for my child for. Okay. You know, I was talking to a parent last week and got a real good, you know, understanding of her background, her history. And all four of her boys locked up at the same time. Not young, but old. And I went back and showed her her history. And she called me after she debated with me for about 2 days and said, you know what, you're right. I'm paying for it now. Yeah. You can't go out here in the hood and thinking all good and your kids ain't watching and you using this as a tool. So now your daughter in the hood, you in the hood, your mama was in the hood. Somebody got to be the sacrificial lamb and set that example so that everybody can shoot for the stars and land on the moon. Because I tell people all the time, my grandma left a strong mark on my family. From me on down, I tell you, my brother was the smartest in my family. He's the only one that didn't graduate from college. But everybody else under me, all my cousins, got their degree. All of them got their degree. And I tell people this, that's the best thing that a black family could ever do. Ain't none of us on drugs, ain't none of us in jail, and we all got our degree. The only reason why my brother don't, because he had to take care of me at the age of 16, 17. You know, so that's a good family tree. So, you know, we got to start that in our black community. And those conversations are not being had. You know, they're not being had. So I go right in the hood and tell a parent, oh, pay now, pay later. You know, that's just it, you know, because the kids watching. Go get a job. Don't use RRHA as a 20-year program. Man, use it as 4 or 5 years. Get out. You know, get out. You know, get the kids a better opportunity because you know what they're going to do. Gang bang. They're going to either get locked up or going to be. We all know the outcome of it. You know, I'm dealing with that. I work them now. You know, so I understand that. And I told them, you're able to work, go work. Show the kids that, you know, you want a better, and The outcome now is great. I was telling Donnie the other day, man, I got a wonderful kid I mentor now. One of the, man, took him to the governor program at Hampton Sydney, Father's Day. He's a manager at Chick-fil-A. I went and bought him a car. He getting all A's and B, man, 3.9 GPA. We filling out college applications. Man, I don't want to hear that, man. I'm from the hood. I got all this on my. What about him? What's on his mind? Tell me something. You know, he working. Got a 3.9 GPA. And went to the governor's program, bro. I couldn't believe it. Man, I went up there. I was like, man, there's 500 people. But the only thing about it, was like, man, about 50 black kids here. You know, where our programs at like that here? You know what I'm saying? Because he's supposed to be going to that program. Man, the kid's smart. We talking about William and Murray. We talking about James Madison. This boy is deep in the hood. And I'm talking about, listen, I walked in the apartment one day and walked right back out. I'm not, no, sir. I got to go. You know, y'all meet me on the porch. And he just wanted better. And I was telling Donnie, like, it's wonderful. So now I'm working on another kid getting ready to go to college. You know, so, you know, and I've been mentoring him for like 3 years, you know, and man, he doing great. You know, so I don't like hearing that excuse about, man, I got a lot on my mind. I can't sleep at night. Well, what's his excuse? Because I know he hear the same gunshots you hear. You know, so, you know, that's just what I love to do, man. You know.
I want to throw this in here, man. I always look at stuff like this. Like, I'd say, like in Richmond, if it was 1,000 people just like you, how would it change the city? Would it affect the city? And I could say, like, I know, you know, a man of your caliber, I seen where you bought that young man a car. I've seen you buy other young man a car. And I seen it, like, you know, make sure they got shoes. And so the giving part, I think for kids is like, it's like, I think you can ask things back for them because you got equity with them. You know, people normally respect you when you got a relationship. And when you go so hard for people, right? When you go so hard for these kids, you know, these same kids that people say, you know, they don't want to listen, they in the streets. But when you show them the love and invest in them, man, then you find out they got a 3.9 GPA. You know, when I seen the pictures of him at the college, man, and it's like you see him with his shoulders up. You know what I'm saying? And it's amazing, man, because you showed up for him. Like some of these kids, man, they want somebody like, man, I had a football game, nobody was there. I had this going on. And it's like, man, you show up. And that's, I think people don't get that. That's big. Because that's saying, like, no matter what you had going on, you took the time and say, I'm here.
Yeah.
You never forget that, man. It's like, those are the things we can do, I believe, as men, you know, as black men in our community, as people, that when we come together like this and we say, look, man, we believe in you.
Yeah.
I know you've been through some stuff, man, but look, you smart, man. You got an opportunity. And we can change like one corner at a time, man.
Yeah. And one thing about it was this was on Father's Day. So he called me on Saturday and he was like, OG, I gotta be at Hampton Sydney tomorrow, but I know you're gonna be with your family. I don't know how I'm gonna get there. So at first I was like, man, I'm gonna Uber, but I didn't know how far it was. So when I pulled it up, I said, Lord, I can't Uber him. So I called his mom. I was like, yo, y'all be ready at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I got to his house around 7:30, picked up him and his mom from Wickham, and his sister, drove him down there. And man, it was, you know, I'm gonna share something with y'all, man. When these kids know they got an opportunity to have a better life and to get out, man, I wish y'all could have saw that boy's face. Man, that boy was a happy man. Listen, I got lost. He left me and went to the dorm to unpack. And next thing I know, he was settled in, came out that junk ready to roll. And I was like, what? And the program was just, oh, man. Man, I was like, I couldn't believe that he had got in this program. I just couldn't believe it. I was in shock, bro. And it was one of the best programs and I went to the closing ceremony. You know, I sat there as you know, as a family member for him. I was the only one there, and basically it was beautiful, man. I'm telling y'all should have saw this kid, man. And I was like, you know, this, you know, Heart of Wickham, man. You know, projects of the projects, and he was in there representing like he was, you know, he was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, he was good, and I was like, dang, bro. And just seeing everything, and just seeing the smile on his face, our whole ride back, he was National Guards. He just filled out paperwork for the FBI Academy. Man, it's just amazing. You know, he paid his own car insurance. You know, he go to work. You know, support his mom. Man, that's a 17-year-old high school kid, bro. He shouldn't be the man of that family with the weight of the world on his shoulder. So the least I can do is be there to support him. You know what I'm saying? Show him how to tune the car up, show him how to change oil. You know what I'm saying? So those things to me man, that's just a little bit of time out your day. You know, our biggest problem in our community is right now, we got to get some legislation change so that we can go inside these communities and do a little bit more than what we're doing. Because right now, you know, it's pennies on a dollar that we should be back in our community. We shouldn't have no projects in America, period. You can't be the wealthiest country and then still have people living in the projects. No, but on the same token, we got to do our part too. You know, we got to go in here and tell these people, man, y'all got to get up. Y'all laying down for these people. You know, y'all want some food stamps and a SSI or whatever that check is they get a month. I'm like, the check, I can't accept the check that my rent is $1,600 and you giving me $1,100. I'm $500 to the negative. So now I got to go take the food stamps and try to trick them up to get the rest of the money. You know, and then he wants you to work 20 hours a week. I'm like, who wants to live like that? Ain't no way, bro. Can't do it. So we got to get our people to start to understand too. Like, listen, for a long time, these people been giving y'all something to get a vote. You know, you want my vote, man. At least you can give me $3,000 a month. You know, you ain't gonna give me no $1,200 and think I'm gonna be happy. You know, that's gas, man. Give me $3,000. Let me know I can pay my rent and do some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? But we got to do better in our community of educating our people on some of the things that they, you know, this government already know that stuff don't work. You know, that's why we got a housing crisis in America. You can't give a person $1,100, but then every apartment they go try to get is $1,400. They negative $300. It don't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. So it's some things that we got to do. And that's why, like I told little Mario, you're going to run for some type of office, senator, governor, or something. I said, because somebody got to make some changes. You know, somebody.
Adrian, I'm going to let you go because I have something I want to talk about with all four of his kids. You said little Mario, so they gets registered with me. So, Adrian, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Nah, I was just thinking, like, it's not necessarily a question, it's more so of a statement, right? Just what I'm seeing with us here and how when God's plan kind of comes together, you literally have people who are passionate about different areas, but it all fits, right? I think about Domonique, like your work ethic, your mind to understand business, to put things in order, right? To be able to maximize things, like that's your lane. Hearing Mario talk about, hey, give me these, like we need legislation, but I'm gonna be out here like on the front lines, right? Every day for 20 years, I ain't going nowhere. Then you got Donnie, right? Let the Lord, you know what I'm saying? Amen. Me, like I'm more of a mental health mind person, but I'm even starting to shift more towards husbands. But so it's like we literally just on this call right now, we have so many different components that can really just uplift people in general, man.
That's facts.
All right here in one space, walking in our perspective lane. So it's more just a statement. It's just a thing of beauty, man. I'm back.
Yeah, and to jump on that topic, you know, the community event that y'all are doing, that we all are a part of, long time coming, and the community, city officials, they got to be grateful for this, because it's going to continue to grow, and our community needs to see that it's a lot of positive Black brothers that's going to come together for a common cause to uplift our community. And it's so refreshing, because I don't really have to do anything, and seeing how you pass that torch and watch these younger guys get energetic, get behind them. Now it's time for me to do my part and go get them the tools they need, because what I have done over the years is gain some political assets that now, I'm walking in these rooms and say, nah, y'all, we got to do things a lot better, and we need, because what I see out here now, with these guns and this marijuana, this weed, and all these drugs, listen to me, they're going to have to put more back into these communities than what they're putting in, because it's doubling up, but we're not putting that back into the community. And that community day y'all are having, I hope the city embrace this, because it's going to only get bigger and more resources are going to come. And I just want them to definitely, give y'all flowers, because it's needed, man. I'm telling y'all, it's needed. You got to imagine, I have about 20 to 25 kids I mentor, make sure they got food, make sure they got clothes. Imagine if we got 200 more people doing the same thing. Man, it becomes a very powerful thing. And now these kids got somewhere to turn to. Do y'all know how hard it is to get a gun from a kid? Do y'all know how hard it is to get a gun from the kid? Man, we was able to get 2 guns off of kids this week. I was able to tell a kid, take the gun back he stole. You know how powerful that is? You know how much trust a kid got to have in you? Man, we can do it. But we got to get the powers that be to understand that the plan is coming together. Get behind it. Because I'm going to get behind it. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something. And that's what really counts.
All right, yeah, we have some comments I was just reading through. So Andrea, Coach Mo, she said, how often do we meet? She'll love to be a part of future conversations. So we meet every other Monday. So this is a consistent thing. So it's a 5 a.m. club, after hours, where we talk about faith, fitness, mental health, and business. So anytime you want, just shoot me a DM and we'll have you on the panel as well. So let me go. I just want to respond back to her before we move on. And Mario helped me with this a little bit. I said it to him. He was like, hey, do this. I was like, okay. So I do want to talk about you in fatherhood, because we know about Mario. We did a whole hour session with him. But let's talk about your other kids and how it was raising them and what they're doing now.
Well, my daughter, that's my real twin. Little Mario might got the name, but that's my real twin. My daughter, she's about to graduate from college. Got a great outgoing personality. The biggest thing for my daughter was basically getting in her lane and finding her lane, not trying to. Do you know how hard it is to be a younger kid and follow your brother from Harvard? Do you know how tough it was for her in high school? Because everybody wanted her to be like him. And it's just not going to happen. Everybody got their own lane. So it was, my wife and I really supported her, encouraged her to take her own path, to not worry about what people say. Do what you want to do. Be happy. We're going to support you. And that's why I said my job was easy, because, my wife did man, let me share something with y'all. Let me back up, because at the end of the day, this is not about me, because my wife has been the most powerful thing in our family, period. So that's the anchor. I'm just the talker, but that's the anchor. And it's been plenty of times I got popped on the back of my neck from her, like, nah, tighten up, So we gotta give women, very strong women, their flowers. And I'm gonna share with y'all right now. None of my kids would not be where they at if it wasn't from her. I played a small part, which was very important. Don't get me wrong. Being that father, being there, that's very important, because kids having a 2-parent home is powerful. It's very powerful. I don't take that for granted at all. But 90% of the work is from her. 10% is from me. Being the man, making sure that I can bring the bread home, making sure that once she disciplined, I continue to keep my foot down, no matter how much it may hurt, keep my foot down. But I don't want people to think it's all me. My daughter wouldn't be the type of woman she is today if it wasn't from my wife. So a lot of people can go and say, little Mario this, little Mario that, but to raise a great young lady, come on, fellas, y'all got to tighten up now, because that's the queen. That's the one who run the household for the kids that we have. So to have my wife to raise her the way she did, man, I'm like, my job is easy. I go down there, pay the bill, move a little furniture, and make sure they doing what they supposed to do. But the mental part, man, that's all my wife. So it's very important that kids see that too. And then I know he was talking about a lot of people know Pinky moved in with me. I remember it like it was yesterday, man. Pinky mom was raising about 5 boys from Jersey. And one Sunday morning, I had on some Ice Cube slippers from a long night of that yak. And she pulled up in a van and got out and told me just like this, I need you to raise them. And that was it. She said, I need you to take them. And she said, I want you to raise them like you raising your son. She said, I got 4 boys around here and they running me crazy. So I had to help assist her with his brothers, and date, man. You ever had five boys come from Jersey and come to Richmond, VA? They turn up. I'm talking about turn up. And me and Rob Ashby was, we was always there to help support her. And that one morning she dropped Pinky off. And my wife was like, I'm cool with it. Then my wife and his mom, they was like, listen, I ain't never seen 2 women work that good together that didn't even know each other, but came together for a common cause to give a kid a better life. See, we don't talk about that stuff, but they did it. They talk, my wife and his mom talk every day. And I'm like, we didn't know what we was doing. We were just giving a kid an opportunity to have a good opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And look at him now. Pinky got his master. I think, he probably was the first one to graduate from college or high school, something like that. In the community, like when they found out, like our whole AAU organization, all of the parents, they poured into raising Pinky with us, man. It take a village to raise a child, man. That's a true statement, because man, he had so much support from his AAU family that you don't see that. Don't talk to my child. I'm the mom. Don't talk to my not our AAU organization. He had to be around. All of the parents that we had with our AAU organization, they raised every child like it was theirs. Everyone. And it won't no talk back, won't no slick talk, won't none of that. And that's the part of raising these kids that we've gotten away from, you know. And the thing that I tell people now about, you know, all this AAU stuff, man, it's only a 1%. It's only a 1%. So we got to start using this as an opportunity to get these kids a better opportunity. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, that's one thing. And I got a 10-year-old, you know, and he next up. You know, he next up. We pouring it all into him. You know, but like I say, I just want him to be free. You know, I want him to do what he want to do. You know, I'm gonna support him. And just making sure that I'm the man I'm supposed to be, that they can see every day. Now, don't get it twisted. I ain't perfect, man. Don't get it twisted. You know, I'm gonna get my yak, man. I'm gonna get my yak. You know, so don't get it twisted. You know, but you know, being that father, you know, like I tell people all the time, if you got a better one, show me. You know, I put my father up with any father. You know, man, listen, I'm the best father in the world. You know, can't no kid not call me, and I don't try to make some shape. Not just with mine, I'm talking about with all of them. From all my AAU kids, you know, the kids I mentor now, I just figured out, man, you know, and love to do it. You know, love to do it. I could have, you know, I could go out here and do some other thing, buy me a couple of Bentleys, do some, but that ain't in me. You know, it's about seeing the smile on these kids' face, you know, and it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm telling y'all. And kids call you and they be like, "Oh, gee, what you doing?" Man, I'm trying to get me some sleep. You know, Mom, I need to go get some shoes. All right, you know, and all my kids, one thing about them is, as long as I get to talk to them and help guide them, I tell them I do anything, but you're gonna do the right thing. You know, so that's the blessing I get from it, you know.
Yeah, Donnie and I were discussing the other day about why, like the why. Like why you want money or why do you want to help people? A lot of people want money for, I don't know, just to buy things. But with you get an abundance of things because you give back so much. You know what I mean?
Amen. That's it's man, this is what I believe. I believe that, you know, when God got you doing his work, he got you. He gonna take care of it. I used to like worry about, man, how this gonna get done. Man, I don't do it no more. Man, I can have a bill coming this joke with a day for $20,000. And I'd be like, well, God gonna take care of that. And people be like, man, no, it ain't okay. And I still do my work now. I ain't gonna tell you I don't go out here, you know, and work. I'm still gonna work, but it don't bother me. It don't bother me, you know. So, and I tell people all the time, when you understand the circle of life, man, you know, you're gonna be born and you're gonna die. So those are two things that's guaranteed to you while you here on this earth. So me personally, I understand them, but I just want to leave the kids in a better situation. That's it. You know, mine's well taken care of. I'm good with that, you know, but I want to get the kids the same opportunity that mine's got. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I ever did, you know.
So let's talk about your decision to send Mario to Harvard when he wanted to play basketball, because he said that had him tight. So let's talk about that.
Man, that was a lot. For the first time, people don't know that, you know, that was my biggest battle with him. It was I thought, you know, our relationship was gonna break because of that. Because at the time he didn't think we could afford it. But I really didn't, you know, when he got his offer from Harvard and Yale, he had already had 28 Division I offers as a sophomore. So I'm thinking he going to school for free. I mean, where I come from, we don't know nothing about no Harvard and no Yale and no Ivy League school. We thinking it's free. You know, y'all rich, so let us go to school for free. So we didn't know it. Me and my wife did not know it. You know, we thinking he gonna get this scholarship. You know, he don't got all the other scholarships, and you know, Tommy offered him, then Yale offered him, and I think Princeton was gonna offer him. But at that time, I told Princeton he going to Harvard, and he came home one day, and I said, listen, champ, I said, only 1% of black kids get an opportunity to go to Harvard. And, you know, I ain't good at, I wasn't good at school with numbers and stuff. I said, but it's 1%, you that one. I said, so you going? And he was like, well, I think I want to go to Virginia Tech and play ball. I said, listen, the ball won't stop mouse. So he was, his AAU team was sponsored by Iverson. And Bubba was shooting his first documentary. It was being released in Philly. So they called me to bring him up there to see the release because they had sponsored this team. So me and him, we get on the road, we go up there. What made my job so easy was Iverson told him, I don't want you to chase no basketball. I want you to chase your education. And at that time, he had knew Mario had Harvard. He was like, man, I want you to go to Harvard. So it made my job a lot easier. But me and him went at it. I'm talking about Mario sophomore year at Harvard. Me and him was in the middle of the Richmond airport. He was not going back. Now imagine a 6'3", 6'4" kid cut up like 50 Cent. And I'm looking at him like, man, you're going to get on this plane. And he stood and turned around and said, I'm not going. I'm going to Virginia Tech. I just talked to Buzz. Buzz said I can come next semester. I said, what? But his biggest thing was I couldn't afford it. So I took out a loan on my building because, you know, I owned the 910 South Harrison Street. So I took the worst loan in America out on it. But it was the only one I could get at that time to pay his tuition to clear his balance up so that he can, you know, go back that second semester. I took a loan out and had to pay I took a $400,000 loan out and had to pay $1 million in 1 year on the loan. Yeah. That's for another day. But when we was in the airport, you know, he broke down and he was like, Dad, I can't do this to you, man. He's like, man, this a grip. I was like, look, I got through 1 year, you know, just, you know, give me some time. Let me be the father. You just get on the plane and I promise you, I'll meet you in California. So Tommy called me. He was like, I don't care what you do. Just get Spike on that plane. And I was like, man, listen, you might have to fly out here and get him. Because this a big joker here, and I ain't fighting this boy in the middle of this airport because I think he can get me now. You know, he's just a little too big and strong. And so I said, look, Tommy said, get the Cali and you be good. So I said, but look, I'll be there when you get there. And he gave me that look like, Dad, you lying. And I was like, okay. But he didn't know that I had already had the people meet me in Maryland to do the loan. They came to the hotel, gave me a $400,000 check I deposited. Me and my wife, my son, and my daughter flew out to California. My son got sick. They couldn't go to the game. He had whooping cough in California. So they stayed at the hotel. 11/26/2018 was my birthday. When he came out that door and he saw me sitting in that stand in California, he said, you gonna ride with me till the wheels fall off? I said, yep. I said, I'm gonna be here till the wheels fall off, champ. I said, but we good now. I said, when we do know, you'll make it this year. We'll figure it out for next year. And that was it. But he was not going to Harvard, bro. Now he tell me every chance he get, that was the best decision you ever made for me, Pop. I said, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I wish I could have went. Man, I'm tell y'all, man, I love Harvard. I love St. Paul's more than I love Harvard. But I love Harvard. It was a great atmosphere. Ain't no race, creed. Only thing they think about down there is green. I don't care if you blue or purple. They don't care. It's about green. It ain't no races down there. You step on, but they want to know what you can do for them. You know, that's just it. You know, and I tell people all the time, it was a great experience for them. You know, And he always used to tell me, I feel like, I'm an outcast. Because, Lamar was the first kid that they ever recruited with visible tattoos. So it wasn't like, he was it was a walk in the park. It was a lot of pulling strings to get them, get the people behind the wall to accept him. And he had cornrows, man. They don't do that at Harvard. They don't do that, But Harvard was going through a transition. And they use him as that platform to transition to say, we're gonna turn the corner, and they did. They did. Like he did real good at Harvard. I mean, real good. But if you don't push them, your kids ain't gonna know what they can take. I said, bro, we ain't miss a game. I missed one game. I tell people all the time, we missed one game when you was in Canada. I tried to get a passport. They said, no, you can't get one. You owe too many taxes, bro. I said, champ, this is going to be the only game I miss. I said, but I'm going to be watching. And we ain't miss a game. I drove to Vermont in 8 inches of snow. I went everywhere, and I showed them I'm going to ride it out with you. I'm going to support you. And that's the thing you got to do with a kid. If you're in the trenches, get in the trenches with them. Now they're going to see, dad, that's love. Any kid, you get in the trenches with, like I told my daughter, I'll be there. My daughter, I'll be like, I'll be there. She'll be like, you get no? Yep. Want some collard greens? I just cooked some. I bring them too. Yeah. So when you showing kids that passion and that love, man, it don't fail me, man. All the kids love it. I ain't seen one that don't like me. And I be trying to get some of them not like me. But all of them like me. You show them that love, man, that compassion. You there for them. And and the parents, for the most part, the parents are very accepting. I got a lot of fathers, y'all don't know, that is not in the household with the kids for, circumstance, situations, can't provide, and I come through for them. And the fathers will call me and be like, man, I appreciate that. And you know what I tell them, Father? Don't worry about the material things. Just go talk to them. We'll figure the rest out. They just want you to be there. And a lot of men now are starting to get it. And I'm like, bro, that's going to figure itself out, but you got to still be there for your child. These kids smart nowadays. They know what child support is. They know how much money they're supposed to get for child support. And if you ain't getting it to them, trust and believe. They're going to put you on blast. They're going to put you on blast. So I tell men, you got to be prepared for it. What you doing for them? Are you doing anything? Are you helping them all? You paying bills? Man, ain't okay. Show up. That's all. Just show up. You got to eat some of that stuff, man. You can't run from that stuff. And I tell a lot of men all the time, see, you running from what you deserve to get. Eat it. It's going to make you a better person. It's going to make you stronger. But at the end of the day, you're there for that child. You know what I'm saying? So, that's just me. But I don't really have no problem with kids, man. All the kids love me.
Donnie or Adrian, you got anything? I want to talk more about the M.A.Y.A Foundation after they ask their questions or chime in a little bit.
Oh, no, I don't got none. I'm just enjoying the show.
I'm going to make you smile now. I'm going to make you smile. One thing about me, I'm going to make you smile. Because it's all joy. And that's what we got to get back to. We got to get back to the joy of living and the joy of loving to help one another. And we gotten away from it. You know what I'm saying? We got to go back to them old days where, if you got some Kool-Aid, I got some sugar. We're going to make some Kool-Aid. You got some peanut butter, I got some jelly. Adrian, you get the bread, baby. We're going to make that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We got to get back to them days. And to me, I feel like our country has gotten so much stronger. I don't know if y'all saw that we've had more Black millionaires last year or something like that. I was looking at it last year than any year that we ever had. So what I want us to do is start giving back more. You know what I'm saying? See, what I learned over the years is that why give it in taxes when you can give it to a family that needs? Because we all know sometimes these politicians don't do what need to be done with our tax money. So to me, I just want a lot more nonprofits to give a lot more, because you're not losing nothing. You know what I'm saying? You're not losing nothing. You know, so we just got to understand the foundation of running a nonprofit. And I had to learn too, you know. So, you know, a lot of people are afraid of it, but I'm not. You know, man, I listen, I pay light bills, I pay rents, I do a lot of things. All I gotta do is see you trying. Now you ain't gonna bamboozle me and get over on me. I just want to see you doing something. Cause I go sell a car quick. You know, matter of fact, I sold 2 today. So, you know, I know how to make $1 now. So I tell people all the time, you do the work. I don't mind being there, but you ain't gonna bamboozle me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we got to get back to. Caring a little more and loving a lot more, man. All this negative stuff, man, that stuff out the window.
Yeah, so there is one thing I just want to piggyback off of what you said, because I think it's important, man. And that's about the men who come to you and you show up for them. I think that's needed. And I think it's twofold, though, right? I think more men need to humble ourselves to reach out to other men when we ain't in a certain position that we are in, rather than trying to carry that load on ourselves or, you know, isolating, you know?
And for the most part, we got to stop beating them down. You know,
Yeah.
we you know, society is beating them down. The baby mama's beating them down. I think the men got to be more supportive and show up for them. You know, like some of the stuff I do, like I got a couple of kids now. You know, instead of me going over there helping the kids, I send the father. I give him the money. Take that to him. I give him the gift card. Take that to him. You know, I know they ain't dumb. They probably think I'm doing it anyway, but it's just him showing up, getting that time. You know, so you know that's important for those kids. You know, and sometimes you know use a different strategy. You know, I tell men all the time, use a different strategy. I'm not gonna beat you down. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, be humble. You know, but we also got to embrace them when they do come. You got some men up, man. Man, come on, bro. You know, all that is, you know, if a brother come to you and really want to, you know, be there for his kids, and you can help him, help support his kids, man, help him out. You know, be there for him and stop judging. But we quick to judge each other, man. You know, we quick to judge each other. And boy, I tell people all the time, boy, you probably got about 1,000 skeletons in your closet, but you quick to say something about somebody else, though. Let me open that door, you know. So, you know, that's just something I'm not going to do, you know. So, you know, I tell the brothers all the time, you know, you can lean on me, you know. So don't worry about me trying to judge you, because I'm the last one to judge anybody, you know, because I'm going to get the shot of that yak. You can believe that. So, you know, and the thing about it, man, is, you know, we don't smile enough. We're not happy. You know, we taking things too seriously. You know, we got to get away from that too, because that comes mentally drained. I'm telling you, know, that mentally drained me when he was in school and I didn't have a healthy outlet. Like my wife would tell you, it was probably one of the lowest points of my life. You know, for the first time I cried, you know, because I didn't know if I could really pull it off for him. And at this time, I ain't had all my friends are left. Everybody, they scattered like roaches. When I told them I got to take care of my son, they didn't understand that. You know, if it weren't from my family and her family, let me share something with y'all. I don't even get into the old black folk family. Let me share something with y'all. Little Mario mama and little Mario daddy got 2 beautiful families. And I'm talking about, listen, his sophomore year when we got stuck, his mom, his cousin, now I ain't talking about, you know, uncle, and my second mom, man, they probably came up with $55,000 cash. And I ain't talking about no pennies and nickels and no cash money. I'm talking about cash money. And this was the thing. at every one of his games, he probably had 20 to 25 family members in the stand. Period. So it showed me the importance of family. It showed me the importance of love. Cause like I say, I don't know too many black folk that ain't rich or got it like that come out their pocket with 55 cash. Somebody stroked them a check for 20. I think my second mom stroked a check for 30. I was like, yo, where y'all get this money from? Ain't no black folk have money like that. But it was a blessing. And little Mario, like his both of his families, they worship the ground he walked on. He's one of the greatest kids you're gonna ever meet. He loved everything. Listen, fellas, I ain't got nothing to do with this. This is just God. The boy loved everybody. I ain't seen nobody that don't like him. I'm talking about Harvard, Hampton, community. I don't care where he go. Everybody love him. Everybody. And the kids, oh man, the kids gravitate to him now. Shoot, kids, they don't want to see me no more. Willow Mario. I'll be like, he on his way. Thank you. And I'm gone. So, and that's one thing I do want to give flowers to too. A lot of people talk about black community, black families don't get along. Listen, man, I go to my white family reunion, see who fighting. Don't nobody never fight, man. Never fight. Never fight. You go to my family reunion, one of my uncles fighting. One of them fighting. Go down to Smithfield, Virginia, and go to our family reunion. Somebody fighting. But her family, everybody get along. I'm like, man, was somebody fighting this junk? It don't happen. So he got two great families, So and that's important too, because if you got a toxic family, boy, you gonna be toxic too. Somebody gonna be toxic, whether the kid, the grandkid, the uncle, somebody gonna be. Man, I ain't never seen families like this. I be trying to mess the families up. Somebody fight. Somebody do something. Take some cold liquor over here so somebody can fight. But you can't get it, man. And it's a beautiful thing. So we got to get back to that too. Families got to start loving each other. And supporting, man. That's important too for our kids to see. You don't want your kids to always go to a family reunion and cousin Pete and Aunt Mary can't get along, and Uncle Bobby and Ray over there arguing all. No, man, let the kids see love. Let the kids see that. All these kids, they deserve that opportunity to love. So, that's it.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do a part 2, man. I have 1,000 questions I want to ask, but
yeah, you good. I ain't going nowhere until the good Lord take me. He ain't planning on taking me no time soon. He told me I got a lot of work to do before he come get me.
Yeah, we're gonna do a part 2. So tell everyone how they can support you in your mission and where they can find you at to help with this community, and especially the event that's coming up.
Like I told y'all, little Mario take care of everything. Y'all know more, y'all got more information than I got. So if you want to support, if you need any type of somebody to talk to, any type of guidance, kids need any type of support, my email is mariohaskett@gmail.com. My son, Lil Mario Jr., he all over Instagram and Facebook, but I don't do none of that. They do everything for me. But it's easy to get in contact with me. All you gotta do is come to the courthouse. come to the courthouse. I'll be in there for somebody, And that's my passion, trying to help people get back on the right path. Because I had when I went to college, man, this is what I am gonna say, and I'm gonna end this with this. I had, Coach Moore, Ben Moore, rest in peace. That was my high school coach. And my college coach, Coach Jordan, who treated me just like his son. They was my father figures. And they really poured so much into me for me to be where I am right now. And Dr. Billy Canady, he was like my godfather. You know, he was a very powerful man, and they poured so much into me that, you know, they refused to let me lose. Period. You know, they were men that, you know, they supported me with whatever, right, wrong. They taught me, they guided me, you know. And last but not least, the person I definitely got to give a shout out to is my Uncle Johnny. You know, my Uncle Johnny basically always been there for me. And I have to give it up to a man that that basically supported me as if I was his own son and he was my uncle. So I wouldn't be here without them 4 men, period. You know, so that's it, bro. That's me. You know, that's me, baby. That's it.
And that's Big Mario. So thank you. I want to say thank you again. A big thank you for joining. And this is a bi-weekly call that we try to bring everyone on and educate and inspire through faith, fitness, mental health, and business. So, man, like I said, we're going to do a part 2. We got to do a part 2. Yeah. I want to have you and Mario on, all of your kids on at once.
Yo, boy, you going to be in for a show then, because I ain't going to be able to talk then, because they run me now, man. They run me. That's it. But that'll be beautiful. So you can get, you know, and that's something that, you know, a lot of people need to see, you know, from a kid's, you know, point of view and from their eyes too, you know. So that probably be real good too. That'd probably be real good, especially with Pinky, my daughter, you know, my 10-year-old, and little Mario. You know, I think that'll be special. You know,
yeah, I think that'll be dope, man.
Yeah,
but we're right at time, so I'm gonna let you go. Like I said again, thank you so much for joining. And this is 5 a.m. Club After Hours.
Amen. Bless you, my brother.
Later.